welcome to another episode of Data Gurus. I'm excited to welcome Kai Stübane, who is the Chief Revenue Officer for CX for Europe for SAP. Welcome, Kai.
Exactly. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Sima.
Thank you. Thank you. Kai, you've had such a unique and diverse background. Just for the listeners, if you could just share a little bit about your background and how you got to this position as to where you are today.
Sure. So, I'm Kai. I started my career actually with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, where I was starting as an auditor. So I did data audits, and then I was doing consultancy jobs. So pretty much into data and analytics at that point in time, until SAP, when SAP acquired Business Objects, asked me if I want to move over and go into a sales role for that specific analytics and portfolio that was acquired over Business Objects. And from then on, I made my race to SAP in different roles. I think the biggest role in the beginning was in leading the analytics business for Germany. And then later on, after also managing ERP for the European region, I'm managing now since 4 years CX. And it's a great combination, and we strive this before, Sima, because CX is very much depending on data on one hand, but on experiences and excitement on the other hand, right? So it pretty much brings together a lot of aspects that I was striving before in my career for that role.
Yeah, and actually, it's helpful for us to just define CX for folks that are listening. I think everybody thinks they know what it is, but how do you define it? How does SAP really look at CX in terms of the space that it competes in or offers solutions for?
Yeah, I think even within SAP, we often still say customer relationship management as a
Right.
broader scale, right? Which is mainly CRM, service, also marketing.
Right.
For me, CX, from a broader picture, really includes any touch point any company has with its end customers, be it B2B or B2C. So you go on a website and you surf for a new laundry machine and you type in Siemens, right? And
Yeah.
then you would already be in touch with Siemens, right? From that point on, you wouldn't even strive them directly, but they want to make sure the right pictures of their stuff is being shown by Google, right? So any touch point, and obviously also other touch points, are really making CX together and then talking about any process at the end of the day, right? That is customer related. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it's tons of data that's being collected with all these different customer touch points or even prospective customer touch points. And,
Yeah,
and,
it is.
and SAP particularly has solutions for collecting the data, processing, and kind of analyzing it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I mean, SAP, as I think the majority is aware of, is mainly caring for the ERP and back office
Right.
side of the house. This is how SAP became big.
Yeah.
So I think the moment you want to do enterprise customer experience, where you want to squeeze enterprise historical data with the customer data you have, like you go online, right, and you're searching for something, you give consent to a company, and now it's already checking in the background. Did you pay all the bills in the past? Is
Right.
the delivery with you? So it goes back to the supply chain, finance systems. So any kind of data point that is being stored in SAP is now used to give you a better experience, right? To play out the right content to you specifically. And this is, I think, where SAP is strong. And then we have solutions for this like CRM, commerce, customer data, and marketing automation with Emasis that was acquired like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Got
That's
it.
pretty much how I see it. Yeah.
Got it. And from your point of view, I mean, obviously it's, intuitively it makes sense that CX plays a critical role as it relates to the P&L, right? Like its impact in terms of being able to drive, increased conversion, retention for customers. But I'm seeing CX more and more growing as different companies come into the market. What do you attribute that to? Why is that happening at this point in time?
Yeah. Well, I think for two reasons. First reason is that technically there are much more capabilities
Mm.
to drive customer experience by data and by software than before. I mean, if you look to companies like FlixBus that also took over, I think, Greyhound now in the US, or Uber, all those companies, they are top line driven, right? They give a stellar customer experience. This is why you go to them. And then everything else was already there. There were cabs, there were buses, but the experience is a front runner, right? And so, and classical organizations, companies have to see how they react to the trend, how they put their customer into the focus. And for example, SAP was classically very much B2B driven, which our capabilities in ERP, and again, coming back to companies like, Siemens, Bosch, right? They all want to go to the end customers more, because the more information they have about you, the better they can create new products, do cross-sell and upsell. So they all want to find ways to make you give them consent to directly interact with them, even though you bought through Amazon or an offline dealer, whoever that would be, right? And this is, I would say, the driving point, because CX gives you more money. It's top line related. Yeah.
Right.
The big, yeah. Mhm.
And when you think about, so obviously the technologies there, there's
Mhm.
competitors that have already proven out, and then a seamless customer experience retains and attracts new customers. Uber is a perfect example. A lot of the food delivery services are
Yeah.
examples of that. Um, what do you think in terms of, as it relates to the actual experience? Are people doing a better job? The companies that have to pivot a bit, right? They weren't necessarily so focused on that end customer, are now focused on the end customer. Like you said, they get more data, they know how to deliver better products and services. Are you truly seeing that and results for, I don't want you to compromise any customer information, but are you seeing better customer experiences being delivered from companies that traditionally might have not been really focused on that? That's a long question, sorry.
It is. I mean, yeah, I obviously see that, but it's only a limited perspective, right? I mean, I see those customers that have the strategy and the ambition to invest into software to have a better to provide a better customer experience, right?
Yeah.
But I, but often what I, for example, see is, without being able to name no company markets, but we have one company in the retail industry at the moment that went bankrupt in Germany 2 weeks ago, really big company. And the same month we were selling big 7-digit CX package to a similar company in the same space. That said, oh, that space is so crazy. We can grow 300% in the next 3 years if we now go omni-channel, blah, 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 right? So you see, and this is the magic of that market. I think if you do things right,
Yeah.
you can still grow and gain market share, right? That's what we see in the retail space, in the B2C space still, right? Um, yeah.
And when you think about, as it relates to customer experience, obviously there's overall for a company that wants to deliver a certain experience, but are there differences by geography as it relates to are companies truly delivering different experiences and adjusting to nuances in a specific country or city? Like how tailored are these experiences that your clients are delivering?
Yeah. I think there is a generic trend towards automation, towards self-services, toward giving customer the ability to track everything online at any point in time. It also helps you drive your bottom line, right? If you need service stuff. So there's an obvious ground where I think we see this in all countries.
Or
And then there are one specific thing that we saw, for example, is that if you go more Eastern in Europe, SMS is still a very strong media. So marketing campaigns, information about delivery would go out over SMS. I heard the same, for example, for the US market, that this is still quite heavy towards SMS. Now also WhatsApp, obviously. We see WhatsApp
or
also coming up, right? And then I'm just saying, we see that there are differences in channels, how you approach customers, how you inform customers. So that's one thing that's still happening. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Um,
and what do you think of this? This is like all the automation in terms of chatbots and being able
mhm.
to deliver, you know, having a non-human being provide service to customers versus having a human being providing service? Do people really like it? Is it a successful strategy?
Well, if it works, I think it is. I
Yeah,
think we both also, I experienced often those chatbots, and I know some that work quite good. I know
yeah,
others, especially in the airline business, but probably everyone is freaking out if an airplane is delayed or canceled, and then the mood is already negative. But
yeah,
still, I'm just saying, I think for those standard non-specific questions like where's my parcel? Did you receive my payment? It's making a lot of sense. But the moment, and this is, I think, the point in time when you want to have a good service is when it's getting more complex. And we still see that companies are not having that shift towards human interaction when this is coming up. And this is, I think, still frustrating, but you can imagine how much money in that market is, the more you are able to have all this information, right?
yeah,
On the service side. And the interesting thing, what we, for example, we have now a feature in our service solution that you open a ticket, you send something in, right? And the service solution would scrape all the data you have in the background and
yeah.
give you already a recommendation. But say, okay, Sima put an order in place 2 weeks ago. It was delayed. Now this is sitting there. This is why she didn't want to pay for the second one. Our recommendation is to do this.
Right.
So it's also, and if you also unfreeze with automation and better data, the time a service agent needs per ticket, he will
Wow.
also, or she will also
Right.
have more time to serve the tough questions. So it doesn't need to be all fully automated. We also see that this is very important to make life easier, right? Both for the service agents themselves and the end customers. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I also imagine that the service agents can be also, what can I say? Maybe even more trained versus a generic service agent, because now all the mundane kind of, let me look into this, let me look into this, that's already being fed to the service agent, and they can actually be more uh, enabled to use critical reasoning and critical thinking skills. That would be my assumption. I don't know if you're seeing that as a trend or not.
I do. And I mean, we also have an evolution there. As you said, we hear a lot from companies that it's also hard to attract people to do those jobs, right? So the more you can really give them better tools and also tasks where you can grow with, I think that's also generally better, right? Because of the lack of resources companies see in that area. Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective, and just this kind of more theoretical than absolute. But where do you see the human connection in delivering an experience? Like, how much does that play into a person's experience with a brand or product, or does it not play at all? I'm just curious from your perspective. Is that human element still important?
Well, I think it is. I mean, it also depends on what kind of products we
Yeah,
are talking about, right? So obviously, the more expensive, the more material products are. It's obvious that you might want to have more direct interaction,
for
right?
a brand, exactly.
Or
Yeah,
buying decision, and then the products are also not that standardized, right? It's like buying a car where you have a configurator buying, I don't know. I mean, I love boats versus buying a boat where every boat is unique, right? Just taking that example. But what we see is, I think, one point with personalization.
yeah,
I think what people like is, I mean, you have a coffee shop, you go there every Monday morning, and the moment you enter the shop, the lady behind the desk knows already you want to have a Thai latte with no sugar, and you want to have the newspaper, right? And this
yeah.
is the experience you like because you see that the person behind the desk knows what you want, and she's using this to make
More
you feel good,
permanent.
right?
Yeah,
And this is what personalization online also is about, that the information you have, the data
right,
you have is used in a way that you, Zima, are having an advantage out of it.
right, right,
You would only give consent if then it's making your experience with that company better. And if then a human talks to you and you don't have to explain the third time what your
right,
customer number is and your birth date, and it's
right,
getting right to the point, then it's a
right.
good interaction. right? I
Right.
would
And
say.
then it's like, hey, how's your day? Or it's a more pleasant interaction. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree with. And
Mhm.
also, humans are habits of creatures, right? We like routine and repetition and predictability for the most part. For the most part. So it's nice that that's already there. Somebody's already thinking about what your needs are. Um, I'm curious, what is the future for SAP and in the CX space? Like, where do you see this evolving over time? What are kind of key drivers for the space?
Yeah. I mean, everyone talks about AI. That's obvious, right? On one hand,
Yeah,
I think that, and we see this already now. We have an AI toolkit that customers can acquire on top to our CX solutions, right? That in the CX space, AI is playing a big role. We strive some of those aspects, right?
or
Also by the guiding procedures for end customer stuff like this, search, how you do search, how AI is helping you when you search online, you have a typo and so on. A lot of stuff is already there,
yeah,
but there's a lot of potential. But I think the uniqueness with SAP, and this is what our CEO is talking a lot at the moment around, is really from, let's say, from quote to cash, because we have it all, right? We have all those solutions back to back that we prove that it makes sense if you go for the suite with SAP, that you can deliver better. And again, those large customers that we have, I mean, SAP has a strong footprint in ERP. They
yeah,
all want to go next level with customer experience. Everyone talks about digitalization. And what is digitalization for? It's about digitalizing processes, also to give customers in both worlds, B2B and B2C, a better experience, to be faster in adopting to new trends, being it online, being it self-services, digital twins, all that stuff, right? And this, I think, SAP did a tremendous job in standardizing also the interconnection of our solutions. And one could say that's obvious because you're one company, but you can imagine if there are 50,000 developers,
yes,
um, you have to be on platforms, because it's also kind of slowing you down. If everyone can just make a decision for the best middleware and so on, each department would be much faster. So Chris is really focusing on having that platform, and then every solution on top is kind of like a microservice that you can plug and play together, right? Yeah.
yeah. And currently, when you talk about these CX solutions, are you typically engaging with the CMO or the CEO as it relates to the CX function or yeah, function? Is it the CMO that typically decides on purchasing?
Um, I think there was a lot of power with CSOs and CMOs over the Corona time, and this was also for any CX tech company and consulting company a good time to sell, right? That's obvious. Now we
Or
see that the trend goes more again towards offline omnichannel, right?
yeah,
And companies are more restricted on money. So at the moment, I see a rise of the CFO role pretty much. So it's again probably also because a lot of companies might have already acquire already a lot of CX stuff, and now have to prove that it's utilizing, that it's paying back.
direct
So
cost.
decisions are more strict than they've been 3-4 years ago. We see that, right? But yes, it starts with the CSO and with the CMOs. If they love what we do, then they bring it to the CIOs, which is the obviously partner for us. And then we normally would have finance and procurement engagement as usual, right? When it's getting to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, my sense is through COVID and everything, it was like, let's hurry up and get solutions in place. Everybody's
Yeah.
online. We got to figure out what we're going to do. And now the dust is settled. And okay, what's truly the payback of this? What do we
Exactly.
return on investment, which makes perfect sense. Um, Anything else as you're like, if you imagine a world in like 5 or 10 years as it relates to customer experience, do you see any major shifts, or is it just incrementality in terms of continuous improvement?
Yeah. I think there are 2 points. One point is also the, let's say, experience management part of the house. More and more people coming into companies that want to work with tools
Yeah.
that are Amazon, that are online like, right? And then they would go to 15, 20-year-old procurement or CRM portals. So we see that companies also in the war for talents need to make sure that they attract employees with a good job, which also includes good solutions. So we really see this discussion coming up, not yet being a decision point, but it's coming. And I think in 5 to 10 years, it can really be decisive that you as a company can prove that, right? And we saw that when Google became larger and larger, and there was free breakfast and free lunch, and
Right.
there were a lot of trends coming into the tech industry. And I think this is one aspect, and the other is coming back to data. That if you want to do more with AI, if you want to do more with automation, then you have to clean your data. You have to have a good data warehouse. You have to make sure you have no duplicates. So all the ABC we might talked about 20 years already are still the fundament for everything that is AI-like or automation-like. And because there's more appetite now on the AI side, the data side is getting more into focus again. Yeah, because that's the but we have to, right? This is what we
No,
hear. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that the data is the differentiator, right? Like you have to have clean data, representative data that feeds into these tools that allow you to make critical decisions. So, and it's actually putting everybody to the test a bit now to have a critical eye in terms of, wait a second, what does this data really represent? And
Mhm.
being, kind of fundamentals that we knew we had to do, but now it's critical to do it with the rise of AI and being able to use some of those tools.
Yeah,
Hi,
agree.
thank you so much for joining me today. I am fascinated with CX. I think it's so funny. Sometimes I'll have an experience and they're like, well, clearly they haven't done their research here because I'm not happy. but that, but it's such a vital function to, for companies to really understand how to deliver superior customer service and experience.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
fully
so
agree.
much.
Thank
And
you, Sima, for having me.